Hi everybody, Puffin here. Thanks for watching my videos. This is just going to be one about ignoring what's going on because it's fine to ignore what's going on if you can do it, great. I mean, I guess. Uh, personally am engaged in what's going on and would encourage people to engage in what's going on without being afraid of engaging in what's going on. And when I say what's going on, I'm talking about the Trump mob yesterday, this fascist regime that's been going on for a long time. But again, if you might not have wanted to think about it, I'm not going to get into the details right now. There's plenty of that out there. I'm going to talk about the very concept of trying to avoid these things. Now, for instance, I saw on Fox local broadcasting yesterday, they were talking about the story title, or the story presented as, this is people's response to the Trump mob. We talked to some local Coloradans about their response to the Trump mob. And one guy had a great comment. He said, I just don't like seeing Confederate flags and Nazi flags on the Capitol. That really bothers me. And I thought, well, that gets kind of to the heart of it. But after having a couple of public responses, they talked to a psychologist specialist person who, I don't know what her real point was, other than she seemed to be suggesting if you looking at these images can be psychologically damaging. Like watching this stuff, and I watched it all day yesterday, and at the point that I saw her saying this, can be unhealthy for you. And I can see what the point of that is. But when it's presented as, hey, well, a good reason to ignore this stuff is just to preserve your own health. Health is paramount, so preserve your own health. I'm not saying anything against that. And if you know that watching this stuff's going to bother you and that that's not good for you, don't. Do something else if you can. When I say if you can, the recognition is that a lot of people can't avoid it because the things are affecting their daily reality. And when it is this type of thing, an attack on the Capitol, and it is on the news for everybody to see, it's like one of the milestones of American history, then everybody does kind of know about it. And you can still avoid thinking about it or avoid having an opinion on it, especially because that's what they prefer. They prefer there to be less discussion or less people expressing their views on this, so that they can promote the people that support it and make it seem far more popular than it actually is. So that's why it is important to speak out about it. But the real point I want to make with this video is, in some conversations, the idea coming up that this doesn't affect me, and so I don't have to think about it. I would like to avoid thinking about politics because the politics don't affect me. Well, on the one hand, politics do affect some people. Obviously, other people are concerned about it and upset about things because of how it affects them. And it does seem like we do owe a duty to other people to share their concerns. We can't do it all the time for everybody, but that's a basic thing that we all kind of opt out of by, saying, well, it doesn't affect me. We know that things affect other people. But my real suggestion here is that we're all so sick of thinking about the government and what the government has been doing for the last 4 years and longer. And we've been sick of thinking about the government, but especially these last 4 years, how every day there's something you have to think about Trump. He's doing something else that deserves some type of attention. It deserves more negative attention than it received. And if it could have received the appropriate amount of negative attention, we could have stopped some of it. But it does deserve some type of attention. And it is negative attention. It makes you feel bad to have to think about it because it's bad things going on. My point is that it's entirely possible to have a government where bad things aren't going on. And you don't have to think about it, not because you're choosing to be blissfully ignorant, but because there's nothing to think about. There's nothing wrong going on. I know this sounds like completely radical, like you can't even comprehend the meaning of my words because of how bad things have been. So just, take a breath and think. It can be better. It can be good. You can not have to worry about it because there's not a problem. That's actually a possibility. It's just completely, radically, revolutionarily different to what we have and what we're used to. So it reminds me of this dating app. I forget what it's called, but they have a commercial that says, this is the dating app designed to be deleted. Meaning, you get a date out of this app, and then you have a relationship out of the app, and then you're not looking for another date with someone else because in this monogamy standard world, you're supposed to be happy in this relationship, or you probably have enough to do in a good relationship if you find one. You're not looking for other dates anyway. You're not going out on dates, you're pursuing this relationship. So you can delete the app. The reason I bring it up is to say, in a good democracy, a good government, to be doing things without people knowing that you're doing it, without people having to talk about it, without it being a big debate, is not a bad thing. It's a bad thing if it's all secret and all you're doing is bad. But if it's not secret, it's just open, but there's not a debate because there's not a problem. If the government can be designed and function in a way to be deleted, like the dating app, meaning achieve the goals that it's set out to have, so that you don't need it anymore, at least in that realm. So for instance, defense. What if you don't need defense anymore? What if we just kind of all got past that? Don't need defense anymore. Frees up half of our resources for everything else. Say, we get past certain problems. Every time you solve one of these problems, you've freed up the resources that have been consumed in these problems. We have a problem with healthcare in this country, and all I see on TV anymore are healthcare commercials for managing your healthcare benefits. How much money is poured into making these commercials and airing these commercials, and the industries that are doing this, that are at no stage of that are they providing any health benefit to anyone. They're helping you navigate benefits that the government can provide. And they're just benefits. They're not just giving you things. It's not like people are getting things that they don't need if they, they're having the entitlement to receive care. I'm sure, hopefully in the future or to other countries, this sounds ridiculous. It seems ridiculous, living here and seeing it presented this way. You don't get these benefits automatically. Well, why don't you get the benefits automatically? Push a button, everybody gets the benefits automatically. It's just a benefit so that when someone needs to benefit from it, they can benefit from it. Why cut off anybody to the access based on zip codes or based on, this whole system is set up with so much waste for these people to profit off of it, which is at everyone else's expense. I can't get into all that. The whole point of doing things right is that when you start doing things right, things get better. Things are good. There is a right way of doing things. Like we have an alien flirtation going on now where we're expecting some type of connection with alien civilizations. People have been kind of taught to be afraid of when we meet the aliens, they're going to take over or something. An advanced civilization would have the power to take over a primitive civilization. We're a primitive civilization compared to alien races. But that's not what they do. You don't get to advancement by this constant consumption. You get to advancement by intelligence. Your intelligence grows with your advancement. So there are people out there in the universe who have had perfected societies where they don't have problems. And they've done that for millions and thousands of years, and they can probably travel the stars. We can do that too once we are using our resources to solve our problems. We're going to, and we're shown the way, unfortunately, so much by these mistakes and going the wrong way. But it's, these dead ends that we've tried and worn out and whatever that we're turning back from. And it's turning to the idea of a good government that we do actually choose, because we can, as people, make good choices, and we do all make better choices collectively the better informed we are on true, actual things. So we're getting back to some of that, which is good. And as it gets started, we will have a revolution from these bad ideas and bad government to good government, as we're always our ideals. We'll just live up to them, and then seeing the benefits of that, we'll have the capability to both lead other places in that same path, that whole, guiding light of democracy notion, that we turn completely into a guiding light of fascism. But it's like, a black pit of darkness of fascism. But there is still that pinpoint of a hole up there that we can crawl back out of, this hole we've dug ourselves into, and get back into the light and do good things. So my main point is, when you want to ignore this stuff, think about how we can ignore it, or there won't be anything to think about when things are good. And it might seem like that's going to be 100 years in the future that everything's good. But what if it could be 5? What if it could be 10 years in the future if we just go hard enough for it to make it happen, to make things good, to follow our good principles? And it's not that much. It's just taking care of everybody. That's the real purpose of government, is to take care of everybody. They can whine and complain about the nanny state cutting into their defense budget, their ability to kill and exploit everybody. But the truth is, the real function of government, as we're going to find through having to deal with this virus and pandemic that Trump caused to turn into a genocide, we're going to have to find that the real purpose is to take care of everybody. And the better you take care of everybody, once everybody's taken care of, then everything's good. Another part of my conversations recently involved like celebrities and people thinking that celebrities suck or something, which maybe some of them do. And for all the advantages they have, they also have their problems and issues. My point is that would people feel any negativity or so much negativity towards celebrities if everyone felt a higher self-worth? Would it be a bad thing to feel really good about yourself and even have everybody else feel really good about you and think you're great if everybody else also felt really good about themselves? The problem with having certain people elevated to where it disgusts people how well they're elevated is that everybody else is disgusted. Everybody else is depressed in how they're taught to feel about themselves. So if we can all feel better about ourselves, it will be more acceptable for some people to be celebrities or whatever, but mostly we'll all feel more of that. We all kind of crave to feel that, but we're taught that only certain people are deserving, stuff like this. We're all deserving, but we can use the positivity we express towards anybody and train to overcome negativity that we've expressed towards ourselves. So even though bad things are happening, there are good takeaways from it and good ways to engage in it. And if it's making you feel bad, it is very good to do something else. Read a book, take a walk, watch some TV, play a video game, get some exercise, have some fun, talk to somebody. Do something good and different than this. But if you can, and especially if you have the privilege to choose, then it's great to sometimes choose to engage and do something. And thank you for watching this. This is a form of engagement. I appreciate a comment, or if you're hopefully inspired to make videos of you rambling about whatever your thoughts are on stuff, because it is important just to express ourselves, to share ideas, and to have the opportunity to respond to each other and talk. We don't get enough of that in general anymore. We don't have just casual interactions with people anymore. But maybe we can be even more intentional about our reactions if we do things in this format, talking to random people, to commenting back and forth between people we meet on YouTube. Thank you for watching, and please engage to the extent that you can, that you're able, both with your time and energy and your health, and realize that you're being able to choose that if you can, versus being in a position where you're fighting for your life against injustice, helps those people who are in that position have an easier fight or can save some lives. So, something that's a choice for us, not to pressure people to do things that are making them feel uncomfortable, but if you can arouse that sense of duty in yourself and then discover what you can do. And maybe it isn't paying so much attention to the dramatic events of the day, but you might know something going on in your community or in your family or your home or in yourself. You might know something that you can engage in. And even though it's scary, even though it can be frightening, with the right preparation and attitude, you can go into that and benefit from engaging with these things. And again, keeping in mind, the more we do where we can, the easier it becomes for people who can't choose, who are forced into doing things by circumstances that we all are a part of creating these circumstances and can take some responsibility to change them. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again soon, and leave comments so we can talk about stuff. Just talking about stuff will help solve our problems. and we've been solving them the wrong ways for too long. I'm sure we'll figure it out. But let's do it. Thank you.